Hello everyone, this is Felicia from Opare.com and today with me I have Lauren. Hi Lauren,
Oh,
how are you?
good. Thank you. Very good.
Yeah, great. Lauren is our second interview, and I'm gonna just introduce a little bit about the Au Pair program and the Opare.com platform. We're an online matching platform placing au pairs and host families from all over the world, and we are starting this series of interview in order to get to know our candidates, our au pairs, and to know their experiences, so how they lived this wonderful cultural exchange program. And so today I'm going to ask Lauren just a few questions about her experience so that you all can get a better impression of what an au pair is and how the program works. So thank you again, Lauren, for being here
No problem.
with us. And the first question I would like to ask you is, how are you doing with the corona crisis? How is it right now?
It's okay. I mean, in Australia, it's really good because we're such a big country, so we're able to distance a lot easier than some other countries, for example. I just came from Europe, was where my au pair posting was, and obviously the countries are so much smaller, and there's quite a lot of people usually. Australia, we have quite a small population, and in comparison to in countries in Europe, so there's so many people packed into these like tiny little areas.
Yeah.
We've been pretty good with being able to self-isolate and everything here, so we're slowly opening things up, and it's good. It's very strange, though. It was very strange to come
Yeah.
back to Sydney and have not be able to go for a swim, for example, go to the beach was really different for me. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, things are, it's good though. I think we're kind of slowly starting to get better, which is really good. And the more people are aware of what they're doing, then the better we'll be. So yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Well, let's say that, let's begin with the fact that your au pair stay has been special because this occasion, this corona
Yeah.
crisis has made it kind of unique. But above all, I would like to ask you, so you're from Australia,
Mhm.
and where do you have been an au pair?
I have au paired so I first started in Florence in Italy,
Hmm.
and then I was in Denmark, in Copenhagen, and then I had my last posting, my longest one, in London in the United Kingdom. Yeah.
Great. So you have visited three countries, which are kind of different, one
Mhm.
from another. I'm from Italy, actually. I'm from Tuscany too.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
I'm from Livorno and I know Florence really well.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so how was it for you? Why did you decide to split your au pair stay in three different countries?
So I originally only had the posting, the first one in Florence. I was looking online throughout opare.com at all the different countries that I could go to, and what I wanted first of all was a country that English wasn't the first language. I really like learning languages, so I wanted to make sure that wherever I was going was somewhere that was different than my own country. I really crave
Yeah.
difference, and I always try to go places that I think are different than home. So I found the one in Italy, and I was there for just 6 weeks. The family only wanted me for a short time, and I originally was only going to be away for 3 months.
Hmm.
And so I was able to get in contact with the second family afterwards. So I went to see them in Denmark, and then I was at a crossroads because I was going to go back home. And I found another family in England, and Australians, we have a certain amount of time in
Yeah.
Schengen area, and the UK is obviously exempt from Schengen. So I was able to have time with them too, which was great for 6 months. So it was kind of unexpected, the last family.
Yeah.
I mean, I never really, the only thing that I'd actually planned was my first family in Florence. So I kind of just really took everything as it went. So it
Yeah.
was kind of a big adventure, which was really cool. But I like that
Yeah.
anyway. So I like having like being able to go to all these different places and being able to
Yeah.
see what they had there and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool actually because normally, au pairs always go to a specific country for their au pair stay. So it's a bit uncommon, to split
Yeah.
this au pair stay in three different countries, but it's great, I think. And I think you had the opportunity to live also three different ways of
Yeah.
living. We're only in Europe, but as you have noticed, we're really different from one
Well,
another. But
definitely, yeah.
yeah, that's really cool. And what were you doing before being an au pair? Were you
Yeah.
studying? Were you working? How was your life before?
So before I was an au pair, I was working. I'd finished my degree, and I was working at a cinema franchise we have in Australia. So I was doing just their supervising and running their events and everything like that. And I just really wanted change. I wanted to do something different. And I'd had au pairs when I was a child as well.
Oh,
And I
interesting.
saw that, yeah, I saw how they were able to come and stay, and they were all from the Europe and the UK as well. And I thought I really like being with people, and I really love being able to stay for a while in a place to be able to actually learn about the
Yeah.
culture and kind of soak it up. I would rather stay somewhere in a long time and
Hmm.
get to know the place rather than only be there for a little bit, which isn't always the case. Like, I obviously don't always have that opportunity, but that was one of the things that drew me to being an au pair. And obviously, I
Yeah.
want to like, learn the language and be able to understand the culture a bit more of different places. So yeah,
And you succeeded in this
yeah.
ultimate goal, I would say. So congratulations.
Thank
And
you.
from Australia is a very big step. I mean, you come from a different continent to another continent, so it's a very big
Yeah,
thing. And you're so young, and I think this au pair experience can really teach you a lot. So
yeah,
it's really
so
great,
too.
actually. And how did you get to know the au pair program? So as you said, you had au pairs already in your childhood. How
Mhm.
was it with them? Did you have the same expectations or was it a bit different?
I did. I think so. I had quite a few au pairs, but one in particular, she is like my family still to this day. So she has her own children. And I visited her when I went to Switzerland as well. She's from Switzerland.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and I adore her. Like, I literally think that she is like my family. And I kind of, I had a few, I really thought that I would be as close as that. So there were a few expectations there. But I think I really came in there with an open mind, and I thought that things might not be as close as what I had with that au pair, but otherwise, like, I intended to have a good relationship like I did with the
Yeah.
other one. And I definitely did. I think a barrier was, again, like, I wanted to go somewhere where English wasn't the first
Yeah.
language, and I knew a little bit of Italian, but I didn't know very much. And the children that I
Okay.
was looking after didn't really speak very much English. So that was,
Okay.
I think, something that stopped me a little bit, just the language barrier. But as soon as I learned
Of
some
course.
more, things were a lot easier and they got used to me, which was really cool. So yeah, but I think that was
Yeah.
like, yeah, my main expectation was, I think I really wanted to, I really like to try and become the idea of like becoming part of your family. I think like
Yeah.
what Monica had with me. So, and I think I am particularly with the family that I had in England because I was with them for so long. But I mean, that was something that I was like, oh, I think I'll be that close, and then it was a bit harder because I didn't speak the language so well. But then afterwards,
Yeah.
I was able to break it down. It was a bit better. So yeah.
Yeah, and the language point is very, very important for the au pair program actually, because
Yeah.
lots of English speaking au pairs, of course, have so many opportunities because lots of families are looking for an expert in childcare who can also teach English. So that's
Mhm.
a really a good advantage. But still, if the host country doesn't speak English, it can be hard, I would
Yeah, a
say.
little bit.
And concerning the Italian language, have you had the opportunity to follow a course to go and yes, attend an Italian language course, or you learned like by doing?
I did have the opportunity to attend one. However, I didn't actually. I learned before on my phone a little bit, and then when I was there, I think, I mean, maybe I'm talking a bit much, but I think I'm pretty good at languages. So
Hmm.
if I can hear people talking, I pick it up pretty easy. So I was there for 6 weeks, and I could speak and understand it pretty well. So I had learned Spanish beforehand as well, so
Okay.
they're quite similar. So I
Yes,
was able to
absolutely.
understand that too. But yeah, I think I wouldn't use myself as an example for that because I'm just pretty good at languages, I think. So
Yeah,
yeah,
but
and I
it's a
really, really
talent, you
like
know.
learning them.
You,
Yeah, I really like
yeah,
learning them and knowing them. So I
yeah, of
think
course.
if otherwise though, I definitely would have picked up a course.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, yeah, if I didn't know that I was good at learning languages, I would have taken another course. But I'm
Yeah.
reading and
But
stuff.
so you had the opportunity to train a little bit your
Yeah.
listening skills and so on with Italian, so that was great. And what
Mhm.
about Danish? Did you learn some Danish?
Yeah, I did actually. I think Danish is probably I kind of go through phases with my languages.
Mm.
So I think Danish is my best language at the moment. I
Oh,
have,
wow.
yeah,
Congratulations.
thank because it's obviously quite a niche language because there's only 5 million Danes in
Yeah,
Denmark, so it's kind of a strange one to learn. But I mean, it really interested me, the language, and the different lettering, and it's really interesting to me. And I made some really good friends when I was over there too. So when my Schengen time reset, I could go back again, and I visited my friends again, and we would sit and talk and everything. And I wrote a
nice.
letter actually to one of my friends today who lives over there, and I wrote her a letter
Oh,
in Danish. So yeah, so it's good.
wow.
Yeah, and they all say to me like, why do you want to learn like Danish? Because
Well,
it's an important
actually,
one.
you may have some good reason because if you go through Scandinavia, lots of, I mean, in
Yeah.
Sweden, they would understand your Danish, in
Mm.
Norwegian as well. So that's a good choice, I would say.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you can learn the insight of a culture with the language. So it's so
Mm.
important. And so I think the au pair experience really helped you with that. So that's actually really, really great because we always say that, au pair program is all about cultural exchange and language learning, which is
Mm.
so, so incredibly important. So
Yeah.
that's nice to hear, actually.
I think as
And
well, like, oh, sorry, keep going. Sorry, it's okay.
no worries. And so, but apart from the high expectations you had before
Mhm.
leaving, were you afraid of something? Did you have any doubts that maybe prevent you from in fully immersing in the experience, or you were okay with it right from the beginning?
I think before I left, because I had intended to go for 3 months.
Hmm.
I didn't really have too many doubts because it was something that I wanted to do for a while. Um, I think I was more concerned. I knew I was going to miss my family. That was something.
Yeah.
Um, I was kind of a little worried that I wasn't going to make friends with something, but other than that, the family, when I called them, they made me feel so comfortable on the phone and they were really easy to talk to. And I knew immediately that I liked them, that I stayed with,
Okay.
and they were fantastic. So I didn't have too many leading up to going there.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I was pretty excited just to
That's
go.
great.
Yeah.
That's great, actually. And so, when you met for the first time your host family through the platform, would you say that the first impression matters when it comes to choosing the right host family for you?
I think yes. I was immediately drawn to my family that I chose in Italy because the picture was just all four of them and they were smiling and they looked like they were just sitting in the car and laughing. And I immediately felt so comfortable with that. And I thought like
Okay.
I think the photo that I have on my au pair profile as well, it's me trying to present that I'm a happy human being, which I
Yeah.
think I am. And I think like I'm always more comfortable with people if I can see that they're also smiling or they're all together. And it was just such a photo that they took like on their phone, but they were all sitting there
Yeah.
laughing, and I immediately like felt comfortable with that. So, and when we started talking, I just spoke to the mum first, but she was
Okay.
really easy to talk to, and I definitely think the first impressions really matter, especially if like on a website as well. For example, if you're scrolling through people, I think it really
Yeah.
does matter if you have a good picture of yourself as an au pair or your family,
Yeah.
because I think
Exactly.
like the anonymity of it all kind of cuts off the personalization of it. So it's better to have like something where you can
Yeah.
see that you are happy and you're a welcoming person. I think is really important.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually, because my next question would be, do you have any suggestion concerning the au pair profile, for the
Yeah.
au pairs who's trying to look for a family? So picture as natural as possible. What
Mhm.
about the description? What did you write in your profile? Did you describe yourself, your personality in depth, or you just give some hints? How would you say you dealt with it?
So in my one, I tried to convey who I was as much as possible
Hmm.
so that people could again feel like they knew me a little bit before they actually got in contact with me. I think the more information you have, the better it is because you're able to let people know. And there's so many people on the profile on the
Yeah.
website that your profile has to stand out if you want someone. Obviously, you
Yeah.
can message and favorite and everything like that, but I think if you take a little extra time to write your profile, then you'll have so many more people.
Yeah.
So I wrote in my profile that I had previously worked with children and the things that I liked. So I am a circus teacher, for example,
Hmm.
and I put that in my profile. And a lot of people message me saying, "Oh, we love that you do circus. That's so cool. Like,
Yeah.
would you?" And I said as well, like, I'd be happy to teach my circus skills to the children in the family that I was looking after, and they all, like, so many families came back to me and just said, "We think
Interesting.
that's so cool that you like that, and
Yeah.
we like sports as well." So I think just little small things about yourself is important because people like that. They want to know these
Yeah.
interesting little things that set you apart. So it could even be like what books you like or something. But I think it's
Yeah.
important just to give something special about yourself that makes you more relatable and makes you more kind of interesting and appealable to families. So yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a very, very good point. So thank you for that because I think it will help many, many users. So
Yeah.
that's actually great. And how long have you looked for the families before finding the ones that you choose in the end?
So I started looking in, I think, the beginning of February last year.
Okay.
But I had quite a large spread. So I actually wanted to go to Scandinavia. That was my main
Hmm.
goal of where I wanted to go, but there aren't that many families up in
Yeah.
Denmark, Sweden, or Norway. So I after that I kind of broadened my search and I thought, like, where else would I like to go? Italy was somewhere that I wanted to go, and there were so many families on there. So I was looking
Yeah.
from February until about, yeah, the end of May. The end of May was
Okay.
my apologies, not the end of May, the end of April. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and that was when the mum contacted me. She contacted me like mid towards the end of April, and I was talking to a couple other au pair families as well. And it
Okay.
was only when I had called her and then called another two families and realized that that was the family that I was going to go with. So I
Hmm.
think it was quite a big selection process for me because I wanted to really consider all the options that I had to. I wanted to
Yeah.
go to all these different countries and I wanted to see what there was on offer because there might not, like, there were countries that I hadn't considered as my first
Yeah.
option, but I wanted to see anyway what they
Yeah.
had over there. So yeah, it took me a couple months, and then I booked my flights early May and left 1st of June. So it was
Okay.
a few month process for me, just because I really wanted to be thorough of who I wanted to stay
Yeah.
with. So yeah, and I know some, like, obviously you can find families a lot quicker. There were families that wanted me
Yeah.
there that
It
next
all
week when they
depends.
messaged me, but I
Yeah.
wasn't able to come until later anyway. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and of course, the point of not having just one country, it makes it a bit longer, the whole
yeah,
process, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible because as long as you look for what you want in a family without looking too much to the country they live in, then you
yeah,
can get lots of good matches. So yeah, the
yeah,
period really depends even on the criteria and so on and so forth. But a couple of months more or less is what it takes actually to find a good host family, a good match.
and I
And
think that.
about your three different au pair stays, what would you say about your relationship with the kids? You mentioned the Italian ones and the language barrier, but after that, did they accept you, the kids, even from London and Denmark? How many kids did you take care of? That's also a very important point.
So I took care of five children.
Hmm.
Yeah, five. Um, Technically, I looked after eight because I had another three in Switzerland for a little bit, but it was not
Okay.
really official. But
Okay.
I would just say five. So I had two in Italy, one in Denmark, and two in London, two in England. And so I had different relationships with all the different children.
Hmm.
So the ones that I had in Italy, the older one, he'd spoke a little bit more English, so he warmed up to me a lot quicker. And I had to work with the little one a bit more so that he
Hmm.
trusted me, and I was able to do this, I think it's really important just for au pairs to be themselves. I really like making
Yeah.
things, so I would draw and they would come and they'd want to come and draw with me, which I think is really special. Or I'd say, like,
Yeah.
let's go to the park, like, let's go kick a football, and they'd want to do that too. So eventually the little one warmed up to me a little bit more, which was really good.
Yeah.
And I think I left with a pretty good relationship with both of them. So and it was, I think it was good. We had a good time. So I had
Yeah.
I have lots of great memories with them. The next child I looked after, the other three that I had in Switzerland, fantastic. All of them really good. I don't speak Swiss German very well at all. Yeah,
Not yet.
yeah, a little bit, but they were all they were a lot more, I think, open to me than the other children in Italy, just because I'm not sure why actually, but they kind of were more
Just
excited to me. Yeah, and then the child I had in Denmark, she was 13 months,
oh
and
wow.
so she was very little, but it was really special, I think, because the mum said to me that she was usually kind of shy around people, and she seemed to
Okay.
want to be really fast. She would follow me everywhere around the house, and she
Oh
would like
nice.
wait outside my door when I was getting changed. She was really sweet, so I had a really good relationship with her too. Um, and it's actually her birthday coming up soon, so I'm gonna send her a birthday card. Good, reminded me. um, yeah,
Great.
and then the two children I had in England as well, I also had good relationships with them too. So I think they were the younger one, like immediately was friendly with me, like came up immediately and gave me hugs and really wanted to know everything about me. And the older one was a little bit more reserved, but as soon as he kind of got to know me again, like he wanted to be my best friend, like wanted to hang out and wanted to show me things and everything like that. And
Yeah.
so I think, yeah, we had a really good time together as well. So, and I had the longest time with them too. So they really grew used to me, and I
Yeah.
really became like part of the family because I was there for such a long time.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think I definitely had a good relationship with all the kids. And I think it is important to, if you're having trouble with a child or like a family, it's good to just take things from a different point of view. So I had things different with my Italian boys than I did with my little English
Yeah.
boys, because so I would try to connect with the kids through art in Italy, and then when I was with the older boy out in England, I would connect with him by just talking and asking about his day and everything, and it was easier because we didn't have like the language barrier. But I think it's,
Yeah.
yeah, so just use all your tools really if things aren't working correctly, whatever else. But I think we had a great time. So yeah.
Yeah, that's really great. Actually, you match with the definition of au pairing, which is being like an older sister to those kids. So
Yeah.
that's really great, actually. And
Cool.
also the point of adapting yourself and your teaching methods to the different kids you have. That's a really great thing, actually. And the fact that you are still having relationships with them, it's so great, actually. Yeah,
Thank
really.
you.
So congratulations for that. And
Thanks.
was it, on the other hand, more difficult to get used to the host parents? So, or was it easy as a couple, as a ABC?
I think every family was different again. So, with the family that I had in Florence, for example, they were so welcoming and fantastic, and they really, really wanted to show me Florence, which I loved. I loved that they wanted to show me everything about their culture, and the mom was an amazing cook. She would cook like fantastic things every night.
That's great.
Yeah, but occasionally we would have language barriers. So there would be some times where they would want to convey something to me, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't take it as seriously as they thought so, as they were trying to tell me. Um, and I learned after that, like, oh, okay, so they really wanted this to happen and it didn't happen, whatever else. But
Okay.
so I think language was the issue there, because otherwise they were so lovely and were
And they
fantastic.
spoke in English with you.
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
I did ask them, like, if they were telling me something like that was important, whatever else, I would ask them to tell to me in English. But otherwise, if we were talking about our day or talking about what we were eating or whatever else, I would ask them to talk to me in Italian, so I could learn.
Okay.
And then the I didn't really have any problems with the parents in Switzerland or Denmark. Um, the family in London, I think the only thing I had was, because I'd been there so long, it was, again, like they kind of got used to me or something. So
Okay.
it was like, I don't really know how to. Obviously, like we didn't have a language barrier or anything like that, but I think it was we had this kind of like romantic, no, I wouldn't say romantic period, but like honeymoon period of like everything's exciting and everything's really
Yeah.
good. And after it kind of wore off, it was like they expected more of me than
Hmm.
what was originally assigned, and they expected like more for like less payment. And
Okay.
so it was kind of just, I think, running into like a routine pretty much, or
Okay.
like not really, we kind of miscommunicated in what my roles were after a
Hmm.
while from being there for so long. So I don't really know how to communicate it very well. But um, I think that was it though. Otherwise, like a really good, we had a good relationship otherwise. So
Yeah.
yeah, I talk to the mum all the time. She messages me and stuff like, how's everything going? And
Yeah.
which is really good. But yeah,
So you are in touch with all the families you've had so far.
yeah. I
Yeah, that's really
wrote them
great.
all a Christmas card when I was, it
Oh,
was,
nice.
yeah, which was good. So yeah, and I talk
Really
to them
good.
and check out, make sure they're okay with coronavirus and everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And well, apart from that, what was a typical au pair day for you like, more or less in all the countries? Was it really difficult from Italy to Denmark to London, Great Britain, or you had more or less the same tasks in every family?
They were different in every single one. So when I got to
Okay.
Italy, I think I really expected that I was going to be doing more.
Mm,
But the family wanted me there just for the summer times for the boys to learn English
okay.
more. So I really thought I would be taking them to school, picking them up, like doing homework and everything with them, but they
Yeah.
had school holidays. So they were in like a vacation care thing during the
Okay.
day there. So the mum would take them to school. I was off in the mornings, and in the afternoon, I would usually come with the mum to pick them up, and we would hang out and do everything afterwards. And I would speak English with them. So it was
Hmm.
strange for me because I really thought I would be doing a lot more.
Okay.
So I was really just there to speak English to the children. When I was in Switzerland, I had the mum, it was basically like when she was working, so only a few days a week, and it
Mm,
was during their holidays as well. So we would hang out, and I would
mm.
stay with them in the house, or I'd take them to the park, or we'd go like on a bike ride. So it was more kind of like I was the entertainment during the day, and then when she was home,
Okay.
she took over the role. So I was kind of like the vacation care excitement,
Okay.
pretty much.
Yeah.
In
A nice
Denmark,
role, I would say.
yeah, yeah. In Denmark, I had, so Maya was a little girl I looked after, and her mum is actually Australian,
Ah,
which is
okay.
pretty cool. Yeah, she's from Sydney too, which is why I think she liked me. Her father he's from Denmark,
Mhm.
and she wanted me there so that she could, while she was taking a Danish language course, so she would be out in the day, and I would hang out with Maya as well and do kind of similar things to what I did in Switzerland, but she was a little baby, so I did
Yeah.
more. It was more I had to watch her and make
Okay.
sure she was not doing anything that was going to put her in harm's way or anything else because the
Mhm.
other kids were older. So and we go on like walks and everything, and I take her out and about and whatever else, which is fun.
Okay.
And then the children in Britain, that was more kind of what I thought of that I'd be doing as an au pair.
Mhm.
So
So more routine
yeah,
tasks.
more routine. So I take them to school. I get up in the morning. I would pick them up from school and take them to their sports.
Okay.
We'd go home and I'd cook dinner and make sure they had a bath and did their reading and were in bed, and the parents would come home and would like kiss them
Okay.
good night pretty much. So I was a lot more, I had a lot more responsibility for the children that I looked
Mhm.
after when I was in London.
And it was also the school time in London, so that may
Yeah,
have influenced the also the routine task that you had.
yeah, exactly. So, and it was Monday to Friday based as well. So occasionally, like I would, during the week as well, the parents would ask me to babysit sometimes during the night if they had something. So I would look after them during the nighttime as well. Um, but otherwise, it was mostly just taking them to and from school and all of their after school activities and doing homework and everything like that. So yeah, it was a lot more routine
Yeah.
than the other ones that I had.
Okay, so it's interesting because you had so many experiences, one so
Yeah,
different from the other, so you really have lots to tell to the
yeah.
other au pairs. So that's great actually. And you mentioned that the host mom in Denmark was Australian as you.
Mhm.
And apart from that, have you ever felt like a sort of cultural shock in Italy or in Switzerland or London or Denmark, or more or less is what you expected from that host country, from that culture, or was there something that you couldn't, yeah, imagine that it was like that?
Um, I think the only real like negative cultural shock I had was when I was in London because again I said that I really like to go places that are different than Sydney. I like things that are
Yeah,
different and change, and it was so similar to
really.
Sydney, but just cold.
Oh,
And it
yeah.
was yeah,
And
I
rainy,
mean
I guess.
yeah, cold and rainy, and it's obviously like a lot older than Australia. It's such an old city, but it was just so similar to Australia, and it was strange for me to be somewhere that was like home but cold.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that was kind of one of the only times that I had like I think a negative cultural shock because I kind of thought like, oh, it's really gloomy here, and
Yeah,
I don't know how I feel. But after a while, like I kind of got into the swing of it again and liked it and made friends and everything like that. Otherwise, though, I think yeah, there were different cultural things in every country. Of course,
yeah,
I think arriving and realizing how much Italian I didn't know when I got to the first family was something that I was like, okay, I'm a bit in over my head. But as soon as I start to learn it, I was okay. But I think that other than that, like, not really. I was excited to go to
yeah,
somewhere that I didn't really know about.
yeah.
And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted like completely different. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so that's what you found. And interesting that London is so similar to Sydney. I
yeah,
wouldn't expect that from
yeah.
London actually, but wow.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
it's not so much the cityscape. Like we have beaches and everything, but I
yeah,
think yeah,
the
everyone
vibe.
obviously we speak the same language, and there's so
Yes.
many Australians there, so many Australians in London. So it was yeah, very much. It was quite similar. So yeah.
Okay. And what about the friendships? You mentioned that you were writing a letter to your friend. Have you had the chance to meet many people abroad in the host countries? How was it?
Yeah, I'm really lucky. I have lots of international friends now, and ones that I was lucky enough that also live in Australia too, which was cool
Yeah.
because we're so far away. Um, but yeah, I think that was definitely one of my favorite things about traveling, meeting all these new people and all these new friends I've made that I'm so grateful for. So I made friends in each country that I went to, and some of them like so I made a lot of au pair friends when I was in London, and they were from everywhere. So I had friends from Australia and New Zealand, and then I also had ones from all over Europe too. So I have quite a few more German friends now, and a couple Swedish friends, and
Really
Italians
international.
everywhere. Yeah, which is really
Yeah.
cool. And I was lucky. I think when I was in Denmark, I was quite lucky because I have a lot of friends in Denmark now, which is really cool.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I have one that I'm really close with, and that's the one that I am sending letter to and everything like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, which is really cool that we have that connection. So yeah.
And would you suggest to a person who is interested in knowing, getting to know other cultures and other countries to leave the au pair program? Do you think it's a good solution for who wants to travel and is young and maybe wants to experience also and have some responsibilities?
Yeah, I think definitely. If you, I think particularly if you want to see a different culture, that's
Hmm.
really cool. You'll be able to definitely do that. If you anywhere you go is going to be different from home. But I
Yeah,
think if you're going somewhere and the food is different, the language is different, you're going to have a really cool time, and the family will have different traditions as well, which you'll be able to see. And
yeah,
um, again, like it's as much as an adventure as it is for them as it is for you.
yeah,
So I think it's
exactly.
really important to understand that they're also so curious about how you live and everything too. And that's
Yeah,
really fun, like learning all the different things about how they live and how you live and what their normal day-to-day things are and what
yeah,
people eat and what their favorite place to go is. I think it's really cool, and making friends as well.
yeah,
Like you are able to meet people everywhere. And if you're
Yeah.
going away on a weekend or something like that, if you're staying in a hostel, you'll immediately meet people and hang out
Yeah.
with some of my really close friends I met in hostels. So yeah, which
Yeah.
is really cool. And if you're in Europe, for example, particularly, you have all those countries in there. But anywhere you
Yeah.
go, like you could literally be in anywhere in the world and you'll have a really, really cool time. Yeah.
Yeah. But is there a downside of being an au pair, in your opinion?
I think when I was in Italy, at first I was quite lonely for a little bit because
Hmm.
I didn't know how au pairs really made friends, and it was my
Yeah.
first posting, and I hadn't really looked into it, so I guess that was partly my own fault.
Hmm.
But I was kind of worried because I thought like, oh, it's gonna be this whole time, and I'm not gonna make friends, and it was kind of worrying for me. But I was able to. I found so the power of social media. Honestly,
Hmm.
there was a au pair in Florence page and on
Yeah.
Facebook, and these ones are open to everyone. There's one in like every major city.
Yes,
There'll be one
exactly.
for yeah. And I was able to message people on there and ask if I wanted to hang out, and I made loads of friends through that, which was really cool. And we would
Okay.
hang out and go and have dinner or go and explore or whatever else. So I think it's really cool to just kind of get involved in those. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's hard um, when you I think not having like people that you think are your like that
Around.
you have as
Yeah.
friends. Yes, that's something so special. I think, and I am quite a social person. I love being.
Yeah.
Um, so as soon as you really break through that, I think that's a negative thing. If you are with a like, I didn't have like a time where I was concerned about my families. I
Hmm.
had a few complications with them, of course, in all of
Yeah.
them.
Can
But I
happen
think
in
if
the
you're in,
everyday life.
yeah,
Yes.
I think if you are in a family where you're not comfortable as well, like I think it's really important to move out of that. I did meet some people that had families that weren't so great,
Yeah.
um, and I think it's important to like really prioritize yourself over that and think like, well, this isn't working for me. I should move on and do something
Yeah.
else and go to another family. Um, yeah, I just think the main thing for me was that I was having a hard time making friends in the first like couple of
Hmm.
weeks when I was in um, Florence and London.
Yeah.
But after that, as soon as I made friends, I was totally cool. So
Everything was great. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, that's nice to hear actually. So you took lots of initiatives from adapting yourself to the host family, to the host country and the surroundings, the friends and so on and so forth. So being an au pair requires that. So it's very
yeah.
important. Yes, that's great actually. And some other, well, just some other questions that I would like to ask you about the advice. So, what would you advise to the future au pairs who are looking for your family, apart from the profile thing and conveying yourself and your personality? Is there something that you wish somebody would have told you before being an au pair, or everything was more or less as you expected and you had no surprises?
I definitely it definitely wasn't like more or less as I expected, but I think um, yeah, I think like what I said before about the family when I was in London, like
Mm,
the kind of facade wore off after a while. So I
okay.
think it's important to know that if you are on a long-term posting, for example, and I know people go for 2 years, sometimes everything may seem really, and this like I was okay,
Yeah.
but it was just kind of like not so great towards the end. But I think it's really important to make sure that if things aren't like how they were at the beginning,
Hmm.
you can communicate these things and talk about your family with them because it is like a two-way party. If
Yeah.
you're trying to improve things and they don't want to, then I think it's important to kind of like move along from that.
Hmm.
Um, I think for au pairs, it's so important to go in with an open mind, particularly if you're
Yeah.
going somewhere that is so different
Yeah.
from what you're used to. And yeah, I think it really takes like if you are if you don't know things, that's fair enough, but you need to go in and make sure that you're going to be okay to do these different things, or
Yeah,
see like different ways people live, because not everyone does the same thing as you do. And
exactly.
I did
Yes.
meet some people, and they didn't enjoy being in a country that wasn't the same their first language, because
Yeah,
they weren't used to these traditions, or they weren't used to the way people talk and everything. And so I think it's really important to go in and say like, yes, I want difference. I want to experience different culture. So you really kind of
being
have to immerse yourself
open-minded.
in that. Yeah,
Yes.
really like be open-minded and immerse yourself in that. Um, yeah, and I think just
Yeah.
take every opportunity that comes, really, because you never know. Like every day is kind of an adventure when you're an au
Yeah.
pair, because it might not be the same as the day before. And that's like take every opportunity to meet someone else, or to see something different, or try something new, or eat something new.
Yeah.
Like I think it's really important just to really like involve yourself while you're there. Yeah,
Yeah. Being active and taking initiative, I would say
yeah,
as well.
exactly.
And being open-minded, of course, that's something some people take it for granted, but when you go abroad, and especially when you live together with a family of the country, yeah, it requires a lot of effort actually. So you'd better be prepared
Yeah,
for that. Thank you for this really nice advice. And just the last question, would you do it again?
yeah. I think yes. I would. Ideally, I was actually looking when I left my family in London for families in Scandinavia. Um, I think because I was able to stay in these different countries, I was kind of able to see like which ones I thought were the most livable for me.
Yeah.
So like I have a friend, and she started as an au pair in Florence, and she came back years later, and she's working now, and she lives there. She's not as an
Oh,
au
wow.
pair,
Yeah.
but she's like discovered that's where she really likes. And so I like all these different countries, but I think for me, where I thought was the most like livable for me was in Denmark and Sweden, were the two places that I thought would be really cool. That I really liked how they lived, and I thought like this is where I would live as well. So I was looking for families in Denmark, Sweden, and Norway when I came back. So definitely, like again, I would do it. So I
You
would
would do it again.
make sure. Yeah, I do have like I think as well, because I've had families now too. Um, I would be more. I would ask them more questions.
Mhm.
And want to spend more time on the phone with them. I think before I went over there, just to really see how they are and everything.
Yeah.
Because if I'm with someone for a long amount of time, rather than like the 5 weeks that I had, or
Yes. It's a different
whatever.
commitment.
Yeah. So I think that
Yeah.
that would be important, just to make sure that I kind of know them a little bit more, and I'd be a bit
Yeah.
more picky with where I stay this time. So yeah.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so that's the end of our interview. And I want to thank you again for participating, Lauren. It was really nice with you. And I think you really helped some of the new au pairs, future au pairs, and also future families who are going to have their au pairs around in the future. So thank you again.
You're welcome. No worries.
Thank you.